coming up.
Until a couple of days ago, I could have sworn I saw someone walk across this window. There's a large window that I always keep my blinds slanted. Someone in a white t-shirt walked right across it, and I started freaking out. I text my husband to check our cameras outside. I was like, is someone here? Sometimes he hires people to clean up the backyard. And he texts me back saying, there's no one in our backyard and there's no motion on any of the cameras.
Welcome to Unholy Vibes, a journey through the realms of true horror. Although not a religious podcast, our guests may present stories intertwined with personal faiths and beliefs to maintain authenticity. We welcome guests from various spiritual backgrounds, acknowledging the impact of their beliefs on their experiences. Thank you for joining. Let's dive in with an open mind and respect for all perspectives. Welcome to Unholy Vibes. I am your host, Alex, and today we have another special guest, because all of my guests are special, and his name is Billy. Billy, go ahead and introduce yourself to our wonderful listeners.
Hi, everybody. I am Billy King. I am the president of Roll for Booty, a company and YouTube channel that makes satirical D&D gear. So I'm pretty much ordained as elite nerd on TikTok, and I'm doing pretty well. Having a good time at it.
Yeah, Billy's killing it with the Roll for Booty stuff. We've collaborated on other things before, and with Roll for Booty, and on my other show with the Weave and the Cash, and Billy and I have known each other for a while, a couple years now, Billy.
Yeah, a
Shoot.
couple.
Yeah, more than that, because anyway, yeah, we've known each other for a minute now. And Billy and I have been working on some stuff together, and he told me he had a good spooky story for us. So, Billy, why don't you take it away? Give us the background, set it up, tell us your spooky stuff, and we'll discuss around it. Also making a special appearance is all of my clean laundry on my bed blurred behind me. Just wanted to make note of that.
You need to get a little title card to pop up for it. Give it a
And,
position.
and also a little sound bite, like an applause. Yeah, clean laundry in a pile.
It's clean though. That's half the job.
That's true. True. Also,
Everyone else's
don't mind
piles
me.
is dirty, so you're ahead of the game.
Not on my bed, dude. Dirty doesn't go on the bed. Anyway, I digress. Sorry. You please go.
So it's a long, like 15-year span of events that begins with me around 10 years old having a lot of weird dreams. I was already having a lot of weird occurrences. We lived in a trailer, like a modular home trailer set on a 20-acre farm in the middle of nowhere. So it was spooky season 24/7. And I kept having these weird dreams where a younger kid was just kind of glued to me. And he was everywhere I was going. And for some reason, he was just really reoccurring. And he told me he was my sibling. And I remember that because he said it a few times. And one morning, I think I was 12. I woke up from my bunk bed that we hollowed the bottom out to put in a desk because I lived in a very small alcove built-in room. And I heard my mom talking on the phone with a friend of ours from Canada, and they didn't want me to hear this conversation. She was discussing a terminated pregnancy that a friend of ours went through and was having a hard time. And my mom was explaining a experience that she had where she had something similar happen to her, where she had terminated a pregnancy, and said that I would have had a brother about 5 years younger than me if she didn't do that, but we were already like living on couches and stuff. It was definitely the best choice. But like I sat there with my eyes open, like, did I know this somehow? Did I hear her talking about it prior to this? But it was like real shocking news that I still haven't had a conversation with my mom about it, actually. I feel like if I said anything now and I'm like 32, I'd get in trouble for eavesdropping, like for being 10. Like she'll ground me somehow. She has the powers, she can do it. Still my mom. So I moved out when I was 16 and I kind of couch hopped it for a long time. But when I was 18, me and some friends had a We called it a crack shack. It was a mother-in-law unit that was built in someone's backyard, and the only access to it was an alleyway. And this was in Lincoln, California, where they have a lot of like style, the old side of the tracks. Lincoln has a lot of small sheds converted into housing, and it was dirt ass cheap rent. I was paying like 550 a month for a huge 3-car garage that they added a bathroom to. We had so many parties there. It was a fucking blast. We loved the crack shack. But we started noticing things go missing, and it was weird random things. It was one of my roommate's wallet for a long time. It was shirts of mine kept going missing, but I was pretty scatterbrained and we were having a lot of parties, so clothing going missing wasn't like a big
Right.
shock. Then we started noticing controllers, so our PlayStation 2 went missing, which is weird. We would know where that would go. No one unplugs their controller. It stays in the console. One time we came back from getting beer because we were delinquents, and we walked in and my friend's missing wallet was just on the coffee table. And we had just stood around the table staring at it for a good while. Like, we all left together. I was the last person to leave the house because I had to get my keys, and that was not there. Time just kept going and things just kept getting weirder, like just off, but nothing huge. One time, a little bit later, my friends were moved out and I was the only one in the house, and things started escalating. The TV, for some reason, would be switch channels. I would fall asleep on the couch all the time, and I would wake up and it would be on channels that don't have anything streaming. It looked like white noise static, but it was in the shape of like, I do have photos of the channels, by the way, so I will share those with you. It looked like a monitor of someone's heartbeat where it would move, and like there was
Right.
one like that, but it
You see
was
the actual
still.
static oh, okay.
Yeah. So it wasn't moving. It was just like someone took a photo of that, shoved it, and then white noise filtered the hell out of it. And we jokingly called it the ghost penis channel because it was like one large brand. Like, it happened so much that we had jokes about it. It was just so surreal. And one
The
time
good
I
old
was,
ghost penis channel.
yeah, you got to pay extra for the ghost penis channel. One time I was sleeping on the couch, and this was the last time anything big happened because I moved out shortly after this. I was sleeping on the couch in a daze between being awake and asleep, and I saw someone walk in front of the TV wearing a yellow plaid shirt that I had been missing for like a year at that point. It was one of the first things to go. And like I snapped awake, no one was there. And then I looked down the hallway where I saw the figure across my vision. And in the hallway, I could see the outline of a younger masculine person. He was standing in the hallway looking at me directly. And my first reaction was to never take my eyes off, pull out my phone, and take a photo. And I have a photo that shows his eyes, his head, his shoulder, and then just the rest of his body going down. And after I moved, I actually haven't seen him. I always thought that maybe it could be a spirit that maybe belonged to a sibling of mine that was only there for a short amount of time, or I was just labeling a spirit in this house as something that I found familiar. But there was something in that house messing with me. Specifically, my things were the most being moved. And that is the story of Ghost Toby, is what we called him.
Ghost Toby.
Yeah, we called him Toby.
Okay. And so between those 2 stories, do you tell them back to back because you think it might have been, like, the same thing that just kinda followed you for a bit, or what?
When we were experiencing the weird event, I then told my friends who I was living with about, like, I was supposed to have a brother once. Wouldn't it be funny if this was him still around? And then it grew into this inside joke. And then that inside joke turned into, yeah, that's definitely Billy's ghost, little brother trying to mess with him, because then it's Billy's cigarettes that are missing. And then it's Billy's iPad Nano that he can't find. And We were always kinda haunted by a weird number in this time frame that I don't think had anything to do with a relative of mine, but things were happening around 49, and it's still something that me and my best friend Freddie talk about to this day. 49 seconds into a song, mine and Freddie's iPod Nanos froze completely and were unusable in the same year. We were driven off the street by somebody whose license plate was literally just the numbers 49, which I'm sure is actually illegal. I don't know the laws, but the
I don't
first
know.
thing I went in my head was, "That's illegal."
All vanity plates and custom plates should be illegal.
Freddie's father had a heart attack on his 49th birthday. Just constant that number popped up, and then after I left the house and all those signs and experiences stopped happening, 49 is talked about, but not experienced anymore. But I just thought it was a funny, weird thing that we just had a very, haunted couple years in that house. That
Well,
was
yeah, sounds
just
like it.
interesting.
Do you think the house had anything to do with it specifically? Like, was it maybe the place you were at?
I thought so, but because it was a mother-in-law home, it didn't really have much history. It was a garage to a house that they gutted and then put up walls and put plumbing in it. Like, I don't
Right.
think I don't think it was up for longer than 10 years.
I mean, anything can happen, right? Um,
Anything can happen in
but I
a
mean,
year.
the property, the main home, anything. I'm just wondering if you knew anything about it that could have been causing these things, these happenings.
It was all in the same town when I left that area. I left that town and never moved back. My mom still lives in that town.
So it just makes me wonder. It's all. And all we can do is speculate, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that you left that place and then it was like, "Oh, nothing's happening anymore," makes me think, "Okay, well, maybe it was something specific about that place."
Yeah.
And then the point that you said that it's a lot of your stuff being not tampered with, but going missing, not just your stuff, but the majority is what it sounded like.
Yeah,
Then it's like,
majority of
okay,
my
well, maybe it's something that came with you or something. I don't know. I don't know.
yeah.
What do you think, Billy? I don't wanna lead the witness or anything, I'm just speculating.
I don't know what I think, but I know when I saw him, I felt like I knew him.
Do you think it was the owner of the main home just walking in?
No, that was a chunky man. You don't miss him walking in front of your TV.
He's like you're like, "He wouldn't have fit in my shirt." Like,
No. Mm-mm. That was my
okay.
skinny era, man. You fit in a PacSun medium.
Okay, okay, see, these are things that we gotta ask, right? I'm learning a lot about your life. It's interesting
Yeah,
stuff.
it's been a rough road, but hey,
Look at you
2
now,
years
dude.
sober,
Hell
killing it.
yeah. So my other question was, could there have been someone squatting or living in the walls or the crawl space or whatever? I'm only asking you these things, not that I'm trying to disprove
Yeah.
you, but I like to approach things from different angles and have a healthy eye of skepticism sometimes because there's going to be people who are like, well, it could have been, it could have been, it could have been. Yes, it could have been. That's why I'm asking. And, being that it was called the crack shack, you never know who is coming in and out. You know what I mean? So I just want to know, like, give me more insight to this place. Give me more insight to experiences. Or was that the one that really stood out to you the most? I mean, you took a picture, which we'll show.
Mhm.
I'll have it pop up on screen right now.
So while you're looking at the photo, look at the lantern. You can see his face right to the right, and underneath it, you'll see as soon as you see his eyes, the rest of his body comes into picture. So as far as like outside interference, there were a few things that came to my mind, and that was one, my friends are messing with me
Hmm.
just to make something interesting happen. And maybe some Nate's wallet reappearing on the table with everything inside of it, never like unmolested. I picked up my keys from that table and there was not a
Right.
wallet on it prior. And then when we came back in, we all entered the room together and just stared at that wallet. Like that came back.
Right.
And Everything that came back of mine always reappeared generally in the same area. It was a large living room with a table and a TV and a futon. And then it led into a kitchen area. And then one door led into a back bedroom. And that was mostly for storage. And that's where we took turns sleeping. Most of that stuff was mine back there. So if something of mine went missing and then returned, that could have been something that they did. But we had a big dresser that I brought from my home, and it was my mom's. And I took it because when I was a kid, I was a shitty kid, and with the ninja star, I carved a bunch of weeb kanji symbols in it. So it's just like, you can have that dresser. But she had it for a long time herself. And when things of mine disappeared that were like small things, like couldn't find my keys, oh, they're on the dresser for some reason. I couldn't find my nano, oh, it's on the dresser for some reason. Unless it was like clothes, which I always found shoved underneath the futon mostly. It was always on the dresser, but I never found that yellow flannel that I saw him wearing, which I thought was interesting.
That is interesting. I know I was joking about the owner coming in or someone living in the walls, but did you ever have any interference like that to where the owner of the main home would come in and invade your space or no?
No, we were robbed one time though. But
Oh,
that was pretty obviously that we were robbed because they stole my TV and towels. But
okay.
they well, you need the towels to cover the TV so it doesn't break in your car.
Yeah.
Crackhead math.
Yeah. Yeah.
They broke the window for that though.
Okay. Interesting. It makes me curious because you could say, well, it was the spirit of my brother messing with me, playing around with me, and maybe he was just really attached to that dresser. Did you leave the dresser there when you left?
I did.
Yeah. I mean, that might, you should go back, see if it's still there.
I should. I don't think anyone lives there anymore.
Go find out, dude.
You can see the dresser from the back window. I'll go snoop it out and send you a photo if I can see it through the
A
window.
hundred percent. And
I'm
dude,
gonna 100% like get this is trespassing, but I didn't say an address, so come get me.
listen, that's your dresser. You want it
It's
back.
my damn dresser.
But dude, I'm like 100% you're gonna have a ghosts visit you while you go snoop around.
Oh,
But
it's
you
I'm gonna be freaked the hell out the entire time.
just
The
keep your
alley
phone on
gate,
record, you know what I mean?
I have
Mm.
to.
Well, and see, if someone is living there, you just knock and be like, "Hey, I used to live here and I have these experiences. Have you had anything weird happen?" Also, it might be the dresser's fault, the haunted dresser.
Yeah, also, it's the dresser.
Yeah.
I never that's really funny. I don't think I ever connected the dresser to it, but the
Well,
dresser was also in the same room when I had a lot of weird experiences as a kid, like hearing voices, which I always chalked up just big imagination stuff. But every memory I have of something weird happening with my family on the farm, remember the dresser was in the same room. I wish we could pan to it and see the little fire, water, air, and earth kanji symbols carved into the side.
a dramatic reenactment. We all go carve into one of our dressers or something.
This is
Um,
the shitty chubby kid just weaving out.
hey man, we've all been there. I'm still there.
Yeah,
But no, I think that's interesting, and I think it's interesting you never put that connected those dots if you really haven't.
I really
Because
haven't.
and of course, there's Insidious, the movie where it's like, "It's not the house that's haunted, it's the boy." Where it's
It's
like,
always
you're like, "It's not the house, it was my dresser. My dress something attached itself to my dresser for some reason." Who knows? Have you ever talked to your mom about you haven't really. You
I
should have,
told my mom about the weird things in the house, but I
but
didn't tell
not
her what I
specifically
saw.
about
Mhm.
okay. I mean, are you maybe it's time to reach out to good old mom and say, "Hey, you ever had any weird things happen to you or that dresser?"
Mom has had tons of weird stuff happen to her, but they were pretty much mostly before I was in the picture. Classic goosebump stuff, like an organ playing, but it wasn't plugged in type of
Ooh,
stuff.
I'm gonna have
And
to
yeah,
talk
no,
to your mom, dude.
you should. She's dope.
You like her? Good. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Recommend you'd recommend it?
Recommend.
Recommend her?
Hardcore. She's really
Great.
awesome.
And so now to get more on like a personal level, would you consider yourself like a spiritual person, religious, kind of not any of those things? Where do you fall on that whole grid?
I would say that I bounce between all of them
Mhm.
in my life pretty deeply. I'm pretty obsessive type of person, so when I find something that connects to me at that moment, usually I go full hard into it, and then I'll ADHD and move to something different. So different points of my life, I would have said yes to each one of those. But now I would say that I believe that energy exists and I feel like energy doesn't. All right, so we're gonna it's hard to explain. My thoughts are hard to explain on this. So
You got all the time.
I wouldn't say that I am a spiritual, but I would say that I believe in spirituality.
Hmm.
You know, that
Okay.
Facebook meme pass off. I used to be afraid of dying for a very long time,
Okay.
like panic attacks of dying. Just the thought of nothing happening after send me into heavy breathing. And I tried to get into a lot of different things to overcome that fear.
Mhm.
And the only thing that stopped me from having that massive existential panic attack multiple times a day was to believe in that energy isn't destroyed, it just moves into something else.
The whole matter can't be created or destroyed, it's just transferred. Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. You're definitely not the only person who thinks like that. Maybe we just go from this to something else. Or maybe we're all part of the one big one energy. Who knows?
That a lot too, like as energy, because as energy connects us all and is just shaping different points, then in some weird moment, like aren't we all kind of just the same? Just energy being used in a different host and then just pushed into something else.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why we can find like a connection with inanimate objects. Like if I pick up a pencil right now and tell you his name's Robert and he loves cupcakes and I snapped it, you'd be like,
Not Robert.
not Robert."
Fair. Interesting. I like that perspective. But at the time, what do you think? Where do you think you were at the time when you were experiencing all these things?
I was pretty spiritual back then. We
Okay.
had around the time I was buying tarot cards, we saged that place several times. Freddie was really into crystals. He went and cleansed his crystals. Like when it was a full moon, we took our crystals and our cards outside so they can soak in the full moonlight. Like we were pretty into it.
Dedicated. Yeah.
That's pretty dedicated.
You sound like
Now
my
I
mom.
now now will I put my tarot deck outside at full moons if I remember?
It's not a make or break kind of thing.
But it's not gonna if the next day I'm not gonna be upset if I miss it.
Right. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And since then, since you moved in like in your current everyday life, have you had any other weird things happen? Or have you just been kind of ghost free?
So, this is a really good time to ask me this, because if you asked me a week ago, I would have say, "No."
Unholy Vibes
This
exclusive?
this house is so not haunted, which is a terrible word for it. There's nothing there's no presence in this house whatsoever. You walk into this house and it's like Manila. Like, okay, the people who live here is the only kind of weird seventh sense you get from. There's nothing else here. Until a couple of days ago, I could have sworn I saw someone walk across this window behind this monitor you can't see, but there's a large window that I always keep my blinds slanted. Someone in a white t-shirt walked right across it, and I started freaking out.
Does the window not go to outside?
It goes in my backyard.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah. So I freak out. I text my husband to check our cameras outside. I was like, "Is someone here? Do you have people to?" Sometimes he hires people to clean up the backyard. And sometimes I don't know. There's pest people. There's all kinds of people who go into your backyard.
Right.
But I'm usually notified prior. So I started freaking out. And I was like, check the cameras, make sure whoever's in our backyard is supposed to be in our backyard. And he texts me back saying, there's no one in our backyard and there's no motion on any of the cameras. And I was like, "Okay, can you check, like" it was like 12:31. "Can you check that time?" And he was like, "Yeah, there's nothing back there." And I was like, "Okay. This house doesn't have things like this here. This is weird." And then I remember that Austin's grandfather had passed 3 days prior. And then I start remembering, like, every time I had a mental picture of him in my head, he was wearing a white T-shirt. He was wearing a white T-shirt and really dark blue jeans. And I helped that man in hospice. Like, I got to really know him towards the end. Then I just felt 0 fear after that. I was like, "What if he's here checking up on Austin?" And we're leaving in 2 days for his funeral, actually. And since then, I haven't really seen anything else besides my dogs start getting riled up at something in the backyard, but it could be a squirrel type of stuff. But every time that happens, I'm looking around like, "Is Happy here?" Like,
Interesting.
the realization hit me with this weird sudden sense of calm that I'm not
That's
used to
nice.
experiencing
Yeah.
after something some weird sighting like that. Because no joke, someone walked in front, and it was just like seeing Toby walk in front of my TV. It was in my full view. I saw it, but for some reason, all I could make out was their T-shirt.
Interesting. And did you tell Austin this? What did he think?
He had a really kind of sad response, actually. He said, "I don't think he would have come all this way for me."
That is sad.
That's so sad. And I told him, like, "Your grandpa loved you more than anything."
Yeah.
And he did. His grandpa helped raise him.
Maybe he's still
And
just sad and in
I think
mourning.
he's still I think he's still just mourning.
Yeah.
So I haven't brought it up to him until I was hoping I'd see him again, and then I was gonna bring it up to him, but I haven't seen him since.
Haven't seen grandpa
Mhm.
ghost. And is
Grandpa
Austin spiritual or is he where is he at, if you don't mind me asking?
about the same as me, almost exactly, but
There's so
without the whole panic. He was pretty like, "Oh, we're gonna die? Cool, whatever, I'm over it." But he believes that spirits could linger. He didn't question that I saw a ghost. He
Mm.
questioned that the ghost was who I thought it was.
Well, hopefully you can both get some peace with that come the funeral. Took a little sad turn there, guys. Jeez.
I
No,
know.
it's okay. It's okay. I mean, that's fine. That's fine. It's still fascinating to me and it's very interesting. And you never know. Maybe you'll see something else. And it seems like whatever it is, you're sensitive to it. You're open to it, I should say. I would be really curious to see about the crack shack or to see if there's someone there and if that dresser, but I just can't stop thinking about that, the haunted dresser.
Believe that never connected in my head.
Well,
I
that's what I'm
swear.
here for, dude.
You're like a haunting therapist. You ask the same questions that make me think about the situation, make them have the realization themselves, and you're just like, "I'm just here to help."
Yeah, yeah, like I said earlier, I don't wanna lead the witness anywhere, you know what I mean? I don't wanna lead you. I just ask questions, and I guess I was kinda leading, but yeah, I like to ask questions around all of the things involved because it may spark another memory, it may spark an idea, and in this case, I was like, "Oh, never thought of that." I think there's a lot that we just don't know, we don't understand, and who are we to say that something couldn't attach to that dresser? You know what I mean? I know it sounds kinda
Yeah.
silly, but who knows? Who knows?
It was
So,
important to my mom before I ruined it.
sheesh, dude, how
She
dare you?
she said it was an heirloom passed down to her from someone in her family, so
Oh, man, not an heirloom. Okay, you gotta do me the solid of reaching out to your mom and bringing this up with her, and then
I
we'll do,
feel
like, a follow-up segment sometime later.
yeah, absolutely. I'll text her right now, actually.
Well, yeah, well,
I feel
shoot,
bad.
man.
I need to text her and tell her I love her. I'm sorry I ruined her. Sorry children are terrible.
Well, shoot, do you have anything else you wanna add? Any other experiences, any other aspects of these experiences? I feel like I'm forgetting something. I feel like I'm not asking the right questions.
No, no, I think that's all I had to share about that. I'm excited for you to see the photo and for everyone to see the photo because it's gonna be mixed reviews for sure. But
But it is what it is, you
any
have the photo.
person that I showed that photo to that had an experience where they thought they saw something supernatural, it took less than a second for them to go, "Oh, right there."
I can't wait.
I'm I'm excited.
Okay, okay. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited, I'm so scared, okay.
Look underneath zoom in underneath the, light bulb in the hallway.
Okay, so this is you. You're dude, I don't even wanna look. This is you. You're laying on the couch. You're
Me.
half asleep.
I'm fully awake here. When he walked across my TV, I was half asleep, and then I look down the hallway, and I can see him staring at me.
Oh, it's interesting because you can see the head, but I can't really make
Perfect.
out anything else.
You can see his neck into his shoulders, and then his shoulders go down to nothing.
Interesting. I can see the distortion, and what's a bummer because when people see this, I know exactly what they're gonna say. It's
Yeah.
kinda deep fried a little bit. Just, like, not that much, but it's the noise, the image noise, and that
It's
black
from yeah,
poster in the hallway doesn't help, but I that black poster what's crazy about this is there's, like, a straight line, and then there isn't where the head is.
mhm,
It goes up like this. And, yeah, this was probably taken, what, 10 years ago, you said?
yeah. You can see him completely get in front of that Paramore poster. And I'm a pretty damn good, like, photo editor. I didn't know how to edit photos back then, and this was taken off of, like, I think it was, like, a BlackBerry Pearl.
I see what you're talking about, and it's like I try to have a skeptical eye about these things just to be devil's advocate or whatever for both sides, but wow, that's just wild. Now I need to look up the Paramore poster.
I freaked out, man. I after I took the photo and saw it in the photo, I just sat on that couch forever, texted
Wild.
everybody I know, like, "Something's happening." I put on cartoons and just, like, I was awake for hours. I was too afraid to walk through the hallway.
Isn't that crazy that when we have these unholy vibes or these chills, these spooky vibes, that cartoons are just like a great answer to that?
It's the perfect thing to go to. It's nostalgic, it's numbing,
It
it's
lifts the spirit.
colorful,
It's yeah, it's
it's the
bright, it's
opposite of
fun, it's
being
happy.
scary.
Yes. I've whenever like, I've said this before, I think, but Adventure Time is, like, a good
Adventure
go-to
Time.
for me that's, like Adventure
Mhm.
Time is just so happy and silly that I know I can watch that, and that'll just make those vibes wash away, and I'll just feel good again. But that's wow, dude, that's an interesting one. But you do have to zoom in to see that.
Yeah, you have to zoom in to see it.
Well, shoot, that one's gonna be hard to convince people, but I see what you're seeing. I see what you're seeing.
Yeah, I understand it's gonna be hard to convince people, but, like,
The fact that you saw this person walk in front of you, were they more solid and visible when they were closer to you?
yeah, it was me. I didn't get any facial feature, but it was shorter black hair, like, whitish shoulders in my clothes. It just looked like me.
Interesting. Maybe you were astral projecting, who knows?
Maybe.
I don't even here's the thing, I don't even wanna get into the rabbit hole because I don't know really anything about that. I find the idea and the concept fascinating. I don't know if it's real, I don't know if it's not, but dang, that's just anyway. I'll say this, they look like they have a bowl cut.
Yeah, for sure. There's bangs on that boy.
The ghost the ghost of the bowl cut. Well, shoot, dude. Billy, thank you for coming on Unholy Vibes and sharing your story and talking about
Thanks for
it.
having me.
And oh, yeah, of course. I can't wait for people to hear this and to see this. And be ready to potentially have a follow up if anyone comes at me with questions about your episode in the future.
Oh, for
I
sure.
mean, we talk plenty. So, yeah. But yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Do you want to plug anything while we're here before we stop
Yeah,
today?
please. I would love you guys to check out my work at Roll for Booty, the YouTube channel. I'm also Roll for Booty on TikTok. Roll for Booty on anything, but those are my two active things. You can also buy very goofy D&D inspired, LGBTQ inspired uh, merch at rollfruity.com. We just started a new line that is all inspired by metal band covers, like
Ooh,
cover art for metal bands. So we are making art that looks like that, but is for D&D spells. So like Charm Person, Eldritch
nice.
Blast, Create, Destroy Water. It's a really cool stuff. My Arcane, no, not Arcane, I Bite. I get those mixed up a lot. I Bite was the latest one. We're voting on for the next T-shirt on our YouTube members channels. I'm collecting all the comments, and then the people who are members of the channel are going to vote for what comes next. So if that interests you guys, I would love for you guys to check that out. And if you don't find that interesting, that's fine. And that's okay. And I love you
Get
anyway.
wrecked. No. I'll be sure to link all of Billy's socials in the description of this episode. So be sure to check him out. Really cool stuff, really great content. You also have a show, a podcast.
That is true. If you search Roll for Booty, you'll find the Roll for Booty presents the Booty Call podcast is a show I do with my co-host Aaron. We talk to people who create things for the D&D and table. It's more of the tabletop community as a whole, as we'll speak to creators of systems that are nothing to do with Wizards of the Coast. And we go through their creative process, and then at the end, we play their game with them. It's pretty fun.
I've been on there and it was a good time. I wasn't a creator. I was just there to have a silly goose time and it was great.
Yeah.
So yeah, be sure to check out Billy and all of his work. Again, the descriptions will be below. Thank you for listening to Unholy Vibes. If you or anyone you know has any spooky stories that you want to share, something that has brought those unholy vibes into your life, whether it's been a ghost or a person or a stalker, a killer or a demon or whatever, anything under the spooky umbrella, I want to hear it. Reach out at Unholy Vibes Pod on Instagram, or you can email me at unholybibespod@gmail.com. I want to hear all the stories. Be sure to share this and share our show with your friends if they're into spooky stuff. Remember, stay spooky. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next time.